Hey everyone, welcome to another day of learning. This is something I was not planning to do, but because of the Amadeus API, which will be going down very soon, about 4 or 5 months, I think not, yeah, probably. Okay, I think I may even be miscounting. I want to uh, prepare for that time, and it has forced me to get into design patterns. Okay, my goal was never to teach design patterns in this project, but yeah, we can talk about one of them, and that's the factory pattern. It's very simple, and it won't uh, confuse that much. Okay, I'm just going to touch it in the basic way, and you're going to see its implementation. It is something that can help you. So I want to go over the theory very briefly, then I explain to you the actual technical part. So right now in the code, we have a service, okay? And this service, like you know, is called the Amadeus service. Okay, I'm going to type it and then expand it. Amadeus flight service. This is too small. Let me expand it right now. Okay, yeah, I think this is now better. You should be able to see this. So we have the Amadeus flight service only. And in a few months, this is going to be deprecated. Okay, we won't be able to use the self-service unless I change to the enterprise. And I've realized that some students on this channel wanted to use this project for their education at college, university, whatever. But moving away from self-service to enterprise is something they may not be able to do. Okay, so to help the students and other learners, what is going to happen is this. Okay, I want us to have, let me delete this. I want us to have, okay, a flight service factory. So let me copy this text and duplicate it. Okay, I want us to have a flight service factory, and this flight service factory, okay, not factory but protocol, okay, a flight service protocol, okay, is going to be like a contract that all services must adhere to. Okay, follow me very closely. So we have the Amadeus flight service right now. Next up, I am going to create another service. Okay, another service. Let us say a mock service. Why a mock service? This is because when you want to migrate to Amadeus Enterprise, okay, you can simply change the environment variable, which will make the Amadeus flight service to use Amadeus Enterprise. Okay, note that with Amadeus we have two things. Let me get in the color. Okay, with Amadeus we have two things. We have the self-service, which we are using right now, which is free. Okay, then we have the enterprise. Okay, enterprise. Follow very closely and make sure you understand this. Okay, enterprise, and then we're going to have another service. Okay, this could be probably something like Travelport. Okay, let me put this one down, drag here, and say maybe Travelport. Okay, it could be Travelport or any other company. Okay, and I'll be sharing with you that company very soon. Okay, so I'll just put this here, put the word service to the next line. Okay, so now with the current setup, like I told you, the self-service is going to be deprecated very soon. And because of that, okay, I want us to have a mock service, something that you can use in development for testing. To have something in development for testing, okay, I went to GitHub and I copied all the JSON responses in the examples for the Amadeus self-service, okay, and created a mock, okay. Let me show you these responses. Just a moment. If I go here and you see mock data, okay, you see I have JSON, okay. I have actual JSON data from the examples on GitHub for flight search, for destinations, flight orders, flight pricing, search results, and seat maps. Okay, so that when you want to test, okay, without consuming money, you can use the mock service. Okay, please let me know if you understand this in the chat or in the comments. Okay, so this mock service will be the replacement for the Amadeus self-service, so that if you don't have money but you want to test this project, okay, and you want to maybe use it at college, or just to show your friends what you can do, or you want to break it and do whatever you want with it, we now have it, okay, replacing the Amadeus self-service. Okay, follow me closely. Now, earlier I talked about a flight service protocol. This flight service protocol is going to be a contract that all flight services must adhere to. Okay, this flight service protocol is going to have certain methods, okay, which define the structure. For example, if flight service protocol has a method called get flights, okay, if it has a method called get flights, then, okay, at runtime, it is possible for us to check that Amadeus flight service has the same method, mock flight service has the same thing, Travelport has the same thing, or any other, okay, or any other service which we add must have the same structure. Remember, this is not about inheritance, okay? It's not about hierarchy. This is more about structure, okay? Flight service protocol is simply defining the structure or the shape that every service must follow, okay? So mock flight service must look like the flight service protocol. Amadeus flight service must also look like this flight service protocol. So all must adhere. Even the travel port service must follow the same. Okay. Now I'm going to get into the code. Okay. And it could be any number of services. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to have an environment variable. Okay. Maybe called flight service. Okay. That will be responsible for choosing. Okay. At runtime, we can choose whether it is the Amadeus flight service. Okay. Or the MOX flight service or travel pod or any. Okay. If we have 10 of them, we can simply change at runtime. So let's go to the code and I show you. I'll delete all this. Okay. And go to interface.py and I'll expand this. Now here in interface.py, I have an import statement saying from typing import protocol and runtime checkable. What does this do? Okay. At runtime checkable means helps us that at runtime we can check that, for example, can use methods like is instance, okay? Is instance, okay? And say that we want to check whether the Amadeus, okay? For example, we can check is the Amadeus flight service, okay? An instance of the flight service protocol, okay? Also, we can check for things like, is our mock flight service an instance of the flight service protocol, okay? All that. In the case we had another one, a new flight service protocol, okay? You can check, is maybe the do for, okay, do for flight service, okay, an instance of the flight service protocol, okay, because we don't want to depend on only Amadeus, okay, like we have learned in a hard way. Depending on only one external API can be disastrous, okay. Oh, so here I'll put another one, maybe travel port, okay. So I'm doing all this to explain to you what this decorator means at run time checkable. It helps us that at runtime we can verify that our services follow the shape of this protocol. As simple as that. Okay. All right. Now, what is protocol? Protocol is simply an interface which defines what our services should look like. Okay. This means, this means all our services must have a search flights, okay, with the request body and an output, which is a dictionary. Search flights has the same thing. Request body, which is a dictionary, and return a dictionary. Confirm price, the same thing. Okay. Create flight order, the same thing. View seat map, the same thing. Okay. Get flight order, the same thing. Cancel flight order, same thing. Airport search city, same thing. Get flight orders, okay. All these, the same thing. In fact, this one here at the end, I should just change it to get access token instead of get Amadeus access token. Okay. Sorry about that. But it shouldn't be tied to Amadeus. It should be called get access token. And each of them have three dots or periods to tell you that the goal of this of this protocol is to tell you the shape, okay, of the methods or the structure of what is expected, not what should be implemented. Okay, what should be implemented is not like mandatory. Okay, hey Rohan, long time. How are you doing? So I repeat, this flight service protocol does not tell you how to search flights, how to confirm a price. It does not tell you how to view a seat map. It only, okay, tells you that we need to confirm a price, but not how to do it. Who decides how to confirm a price? It is the Amadeus flight service or any flight service that we are going to implement. Okay, I hope you've got that. Rohan, thank you for joining today's stream. You've been lost. This one, many of you actually prefer watching after recording, which is okay. All right, so I'll cancel this. And now we go to the mock flight service. Okay. So when you go to this mock flight service, okay, you'll see I have a number of import statements. I import JSON, copy, UID, date time, path, okay, the logging. And I'm going to show you in Grafana that it's actually working. Okay. And I'm saying the mock data directory is in the parent file of this module and in the directory called mock data. That's why I have here mock data. Okay, see all this. And I'm going to push this, of course, to GitHub for you to see. Then when I open here, load fixture, it simply is a private method which takes a file name, okay, and it loads, okay, a particular file from the mock data directory, as simple as that, okay. And then it opens, it says with open file path in read mode, okay, we return json.load, okay, the file, okay, we return it as JSON, as simple as that. Then now you have here the mock flight service, okay. In the init method, I simply log and say we have initialized the mock flight service. So this mock flight service is what is going to replace Amadeus self service for us. Okay, as simple as that. But everything concerning real data, we are going to build another new service to replace that. Rohan says, I'm doing good. How are you? I'm okay. Been busy for some time. Yeah, I understand. Life gets busy. That's why you see I've not been so consistent with the live streams like I used to. Yeah, but when I get time, I try to get online and yeah, do what I'm doing. But yeah, I understand life can get busy. Yeah, but it's good to have you on the live stream. So it says we're defining a function called search flights, okay? And I simply log, then I return a response, a mock response. This mock response has an attribute called data, which is simply a deep copy, okay, of the self with underscore flight search. Okay. Now you have to look for this flight search. What is it? Where is it? Okay. That should be the question we should be asking. Okay. You get. Yeah. So let me show you something. Okay. By expanding this init method, because it has a number of things which I need to show you actually right now. So in this init method, okay, I use this function called load fixture to load the data, the JSON data, okay, from this mock data directory. So I load the flight search results.json, load flight pricing.json, flight order, seat map, airport search destinations into all these variables, okay? And they have underscores because they are for only internal use. After that, I simply say self.underscore created orders is an empty dictionary, okay? Yeah. So here we simply create a deep copy, okay, of the flight search data. If you go to search flights get, okay, it's simply from the request body, it picks the original location code, the destination, okay, and there's a deep copy on it, on the flight search data, okay, and then here, of course, this picks the origin and destination once more, okay, but then, before I should even remove that code, then it checks if origin or destination, okay, it has a list of filtered data, okay, then I loop through, I say for offer in results. What is results? The deep copy of what we have in the in the JSON, okay, the JSON file. Then I go through them, okay. I pick the segments. After picking the segments, if they are there, I pick the first and the last, okay, to simply pick like the origin and the destination, okay. If they are there, then I append. You get, as simple as that. To mimic what the original Amadeus does. If you go to confirm price, same thing. You just get a deep copy of the flight pricing JSON, okay, and return a mock response. You might wonder, what is mock response? Mock response is actually down here, okay. It has a data attribute, a status code, and a body, okay, which simply does a JSON.dumps if the data exists. Otherwise, returns an empty string. And then down here, we simply have a get item, okay, magic method, which checks if the data is an instance of a dictionary and returns the value of that key. Okay, otherwise raises a key error. Okay, that's a mock response. And all these functions use a return a mock response. So if I go to like create flight order, okay, same logic, similar logic, okay, we get a copy of all of the current flight order, okay. We create a mock user ID, we create a mock PNR, okay, and then we try to get associated records, okay, and so that the reference we assign, okay, the reference for the first associated record to be the mock PNR. The creation date also to be the current date time and date time. Okay. Then for travelers, we do the same thing. Okay. If they're travelers, we see the order travelers equals to this. Okay. That is what happens ideally. Nothing hard, nothing fancy. Okay. Now, when I move on, of course, here we say self created orders. Okay. And this particular order ID, we state that ID. We assign the order according to this ID and return the order. So when you're done, so all these, okay, I won't go through all of them, okay, simply are for mocking. Look at this last one saying get Amadeus access token. It simply returns a string, okay, says mock access token for demo purposes. Only that. If you look at get most travel destinations, simply returns a deep copy of what we have in the JSON file. Get flight orders, the same thing, okay? So don't overthink this, okay? Airport city search, okay? All the manipulations are happening against the JSON data. Now, look at our Amadeus flight service. It remains the same, okay? Take note of that. Amadeus flight service remains the same. But here comes the magic, okay? First of all, at the top, I import the flight service protocol. Then down here, okay, I say get flight service, okay, and this function must return a flight service which adheres to the flight service protocol type. Then from the environment variable, I choose, okay, I ask, not ask it, the asking is on line 225 with the if statement. I simply say, okay, in the environment variable, I want to look for in the environment, I want to look for an environment variable called flight service provider. If the if the flight service provider does not exist, by default it will be Amadeus. Okay. So this flight service provider could be anything. It could be Amadeus, it could be a mock, it could be Travelport, it can be Dufo, it could be anything. Okay. This is where this is our factory function. Okay. Ron saying, are there any services like Amadeus that also has a free tier? Yes. Rohan. Yeah, I'm going to share that in the next stream. In the next stream for this project, I'm going to share that. This one I've been studying. I want to study it more. But yeah, they have a free tier. And it's what we're going to use to replace Amadeus. Okay. But I wanted to use the mock to show you that you can have something of your own. You get. That's the goal of that. Something of your own, even if Amadeus goes, but you wanted to have something that resembles Amadeus. Okay, exactly. So we check if provider is equals to mock. Okay, we import the mock flight service and return it. Okay, otherwise we use the Amadeus flight service. Okay, later we're going to add another one. Okay, and when we add it, I can easily change this pattern from factory pattern to something like the strategy pattern. Okay, yeah, Rohan, I'm glad that you've got it. You get this is a strategy pattern that I can show you. I wanted to do it today, but I saw it was going to take this stream longer than necessary. So I quickly flipped to the factory. So this get flight service is a factory. Okay. So our type checkers, IntelliSense, AI tools, okay, will help us to capture a situation whereby we return a service, okay, which does not adhere to the shape and structure of the flight service protocol. So right now, our mock flight service adheres to the structure of the flight service protocol. And Amadeus flight service adheres to the structure of the flight service protocol. Okay. Then down here we say Amadeus flight service equals to get flight service. In fact, this should not be Amadeus. Okay. Later I'm going to change it to simply flight service. So in the routers, okay, the routers should not know which service they are dealing with. If you go to routers, okay, for example, like flights.py, okay, and I show you any, you see, here's like search flights, okay, it is saying Amadeus flight service dot search flights, but I'm going to refactor the name to be flight service dot search flights, so that the router, okay, that should not know whether it is a mock service, whether it is a Amadeus, whether it is Travelport, okay. All it knows is it wants flight data, okay. All I want is flight data. I don't care what the service is. Just give me flight data. Even here, Amadeus flight service search flights get, okay. So we're going to change to that name, okay. I forgot to do that. But that is even good to show you that, yeah, you sometimes you can forget to refactor things. I hope that makes sense. That we're going to have a robust system, okay? A much better pattern. And I'm glad that issue happened, because now it helps us to learn more and helps me to share more with you. So let me run this and I show you. First of all, make sure you have that environment variable. By default, it's Amadeus, but I changed it. So in your env, okay, add this environment variable. Flight service provider equals to mock. Okay. So this one, it will be depending on what on the value of this, can be mock, it can be Amadeus, it can be, for example, Travelport, or the one I'm going to show you. Okay. So in this case, it's the mock service. Then this environment variable will be passed to our compose file. Let me show you compose file. Okay. I see this by flight service provider. Okay. It can be injected here still. Okay. But even then here I put also a fallback to be Amadeus for now. Okay. But later I'm going to change it. But even then, if you want to use Amadeus for Amadeus the enterprise package, this works for you. Then another thing I want to show you is in the workflow. Okay, I added it. Okay, I added a flight service provider. Okay, when creating the env. So make sure even on GitHub in your secrets, okay, in the GitHub secrets, you have the flight service provider as a environment variable with the value you want. So it's time to test. Time to test. I'll create a new terminal. CD. Interesting. What is happening? CD into backend. Okay. Docker compose app. Okay. Then I'm going to create another terminal, CD into front end, nvm use 20, and npm run dev. Let that run. Okay. In fact, to make a good cleanup, okay, let me do this, because I want you to see everything. Let it stop. It's taking time. Why is it taking time? So I wanted to do docker compose down, then and docker compose up. Okay, so that everything is taken is shut down. Okay, then created afresh. so that you see what is going to happen. Okay. All right. So I'll go to the UI. Then I'm also going to show you I'm going to show you Grafana, the actual logs. So I'm going to log two things: localhost 30,000 and localhost 30,001. Okay. So for localhost 30,001, which is Grafana, let me expand this. I'll go to the Explore tab. Okay. In this Explore tab, we shall search for a job and we're looking for the backend. Okay. Then the text to find will be mock. Okay. For now, if I search, if I run the query, okay, let me, if I, and I go down, okay, how can I scroll here? Okay, are you seeing? It says mock flight. Okay, this is for the initializer. Okay, this is this mock text. How can I make this big without? Okay, these guys didn't build their UI to scroll. I thought this part would be scrollable. Okay, but this is all this. Okay, I can now see. This I clicked on inspect. You see, it says get most travel destination called. Okay, services dot, see, it says backend dot external services dot mock flight service is being used right now. If I show you the first log, this one, okay, it's the same. It's the same. If I click on this one here, I think this is the first one. Okay, look at this. It says mock flight service initialized. Do you see that? That's powerful. Even here, mock flight service initialized. Okay. Now, when I go here, okay, I want to perform some searches, okay, using our mock flight service. For example, I'll search for Mexico. Okay. So Mexico, so this is what happens, okay? Because we're using a mock, okay, this is what happens. We get mock data, okay? So I'll do that. Try to search for something else. Which brings us London. Let me choose that. Okay. Choose that date. Choose this date and hit search. Okay. You see, using the mock, we have something working. Okay. But have in mind that this is a mock. Guys, don't forget that. Okay. It's a mock. Can I select a flight? Yes, I can select a flight. Can I confirm and continue? Yes, I have confirmed and continued. You can fill in test data. If you hit next, you see you're getting the what they call it, the seat number. Okay, we have selected a seat. The mock service is doing this. Let's go back to Grafana to prove that. I will click run query again. Are you seeing we have so many logs? Okay, and remember I'm searching by the keyword, where is it? Mock. So if you missed the live stream or the video on Grafana, please go back in the playlist and check. Very, very important. Now, when I expand this a little bit, okay, do you see mock? Look at it, says backend.external services.mock. Mock, 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 mock. We're using the mock flight service. Now I want to switch to Amadeus. I will go to our code. Okay. To do that, I need to change the environment variable. Okay. But my .env has so many secrets. Okay. I don't want to share that right now. Okay. But make sure you change yours from the env. Okay. So for me, in my case, I'm going to copy this. Okay. And I remove this. Okay. And I paste Amadeus. Okay. Assuming it will be this. Again, I'm doing this because I don't want to change my env in a live stream. It has secrets. Then I'll come here. Okay. I'll go back to home. In fact, the best thing, okay, to show you that it's actually real. Okay. I need to come here. Okay. And first of all, cancel this. Okay. Okay, stop, clear my screen, and run Docker Compose down first, then Docker Compose up. Okay, okay, it's running. Good. Now let's go to Loki. Okay, if I search using Loki, okay, you see we only have these first two. Okay, why? Because still the the the, the initialization, okay, looks like it's still happening. Okay, but we're going to prove this. Okay, we're going to prove this. Just a moment. Then I'll go back. Okay, let us do this. Okay, let me search for, what should I search for? Okay, let me search for the usual we always do. Okay, now I think it is taking time to load. Okay, say New York. If I search for London, since it's taking some time. Okay, why? Because now we are using the real API. Okay, it took some time. I think we can even see the shimmer effect. It is loading. Okay, it is taking time. Why? Because this is now the Amadeus working. Okay, but for the other one, it was instant. I think even here we're still confirming price. It is taking time. You get confirm price and continue. See, it takes time. Why? Because we are using real data. Okay. All right. Now let me go back here. If I search, okay, I think I searched for mock again, but this time we're seeing only 3. Okay, there's nothing more coming out. Sorry, only the code for initializing is appearing. But if I come here and I search for, okay, I don't know if Amadeus has logs. Okay, but I don't think we have logs. Okay, what logs? This is actually good. It makes me realize we need logs for Amadeus, because I think in Amadeus I don't log anything. Okay, which is kind of tricky. Okay, to test. But at least you see that by looking for mock, okay, we didn't have logs. Okay, for like that, the mock is fetching us data for searching, verifying prices, verifying flight selection. There was nothing like that. Okay, why? Because we're using Amadeus. Okay, and let me see. I'm looking for something to show you. Okay, yeah, but no need to even make it complex, as long as you understand. Okay, if you want to have the same, we can implement it. Okay, let me copy, but I'll remove it. Okay, because there's a way I want to implement logging. Okay, copy this, then paste here. Okay, not here, sorry, just to be just above. Okay, then say logger dot info Amadeus flight service initialized. Okay, then can copy this, come here and logger Amadeus flight service search. Okay, I can also log here, logger. Okay, good. Now I can break everything. Okay, clear the screen and run the same command. Okay, to remove the containers and create them afresh, which is a good thing. Okay, I think it's done. Now, if I go here and simply refresh and search for anything, you should see, even if I try Mexico this time, we should have real data, okay, for Mexico. So I'll make this one way. So you see, the moment you see it taking time like this, just know you're using real data, real API, not the mock service. Okay, so see, confirming price is taking time. Okay, so just to end there, I wanted to come here. If I search, okay, nothing from that. But if I put here now, Amadeus, hope it's the correct spelling. Was it with a? Okay, you see, we have this. Okay, Amadeus flight service confirm. Okay, look at that message. Amadeus flight service confirm. That's nice. This other one says Amadeus flight service initialized. Okay, yeah. I think for Amadeus, I can even just leave those two for now. So that is how you have your factory, which is helping you to choose between several. So in the next stream, I am going to share the solution. Okay, I'm going to share with you my replacement for Amadeus. Okay, and I want to work on it such that it works and yeah, it's efficient to help us achieve our goals. This is not something I was expecting to do. Okay, I even thought that probably this would be the second last stream, but here we are. Okay, so thank you for learning with me, building with me, and learning, asking questions. Rohan, I appreciate that you've been an active participant. See you in the next stream. Bye for now, friends.